The playoff picture is set. Just kidding. The wildcard teams could mess this whole thing up. But with the playoffs starting this Saturday, we just could not wait. We couldn't wait to rank all 16 teams on their chances of winning it all. Plus, we discuss Kelvin DeHaan's tell-all New York tale and bring back Goal of the Week for the final time in the regular season. Welcome back to the BarDown Podcast, presented by Crown Royal.
Love Crown. Honestly, great partner.
It's like,
love the purple.
It's customary he says that, not just because it's the partnership, but because he thinks it.
No, honestly, they're great.
They've been so great.
Winnipeg
swag.
What?
Winnipeg connection.
And the
too.
Winnipeg
connection. Give me Manitoba. Manitoba's finest.
All right, so gentlemen, let's pretend for a moment that your hockey watching friend just took, let's just say, something random, 19 days off of watching because they're watching like collegiate level sports, let's just say. And they went and they woke up, re-entered the sports transfer portal, and looked at the NHL standings. What would they find from their coma?
You find that the Buffalo Sabres has been pretty damn good as of late.
Oh, they lit it up. Oh, no.
One of the best home records in the league.
Big E next to their name. What's that for?
How about actual best record in the league? President's Trophy winners, the Winnipeg Jets.
I'm going to be honest, that was the same, but Pittsburgh, brutal. Boston, last in the East? What the hell was that? Detroit, sorry, you're still in the same
Shocker.
group. Welcome. Don't worry, you're there with us. But Montreal and Ottawa, way to fight back. Way to scrap. Look at that wild card. Honestly, I'm not kidding. By the way, when I saw that, I was like, what is happening? Like, good on you guys.
They've been really good. Yeah, since the Four Nations, they've been one of the best teams in the league. So let's hopefully they can keep it rolling, get a win tonight, and get an X beside their name in the standings, but also make our video make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Man,
so
Nick Suzuki's such a beauty.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's the man. Happy for him.
You know, he won't have to debate whether or not he wants to play at the World Hockey Championships now.
I hope that doesn't. Well, I mean, if they get bounced in like 5 games,
then he could
still play.
And then when he says no, that'll ultimately cost him his spot in the Olympics.
He'll say yes.
He's got his mind focused on the Olympics after that.
So these rankings here in our buckets of, we'll go 1 through 16. We'll start with 4 at a time for this. We're going to rank this for their chances of actually winning it all. So that does mean you got to consider, obviously you have to get through that first round there. It's going to be tough, but it is their chances of just winning it all in the end.
I've got Montreal at 16, New Jersey at 15, Minnesota at 14, the Blues at 13.
Okay, Jesse, you're up.
I don't know if this is too hard of a take what I'm saying here. No, first of all, I just want to preface this by saying no disrespect to any of these teams. These are all playoff teams. And I believe that, like, I can't remember the last time there was this much parity in the playoffs. Like, every single first round matchup, I'm like, okay, like
Could go either way.
This would be a series.
Okay.
Maybe with the exception of 1 or 2. But like I think there's a lot of parity this year. But without further ado, Devils, Wild, Canadians, Senators.
Okay, Thomas.
Very, very similar. Bottom half. I got the Devils in 16. I got Montreal in 15. I got Minnesota 14 and Ottawa at 13.
Okay, so clear lack of belief in the Devils. These guys, they're all heaven here. All angels.
I think it's like, it's not, you don't want to come off as disrespectful because obviously they're a good team. It's more of like, I really feel bad because they've been put in a really tough position. And since they've lost Jack Hughes, since they've lost Dougie Hamilton, there's been a huge drop off in their game to the point where, like, if the rest of the Metro was a little bit better, they would have been in danger of losing that 3 spot. But because they were just so cozy in there all season long and they had such a good start when they were healthy, they've just been locked into playing Carolina for what seems like 3 months now. Mm-hmm.
I don't see Carolina losing that series, and I also don't trust Sheldon Keefe. He's a little weasel.
He said he's the only person who started his by saying there's no disrespect.
I don't like Sheldon Keefe.
And then he's like,
pretty
this dude's a weasel.
Yeah, you want to talk about disrespect? How about what he did to Kovacevic, his own defenseman? Just like threw him under the bus out of complete nowhere. It was just a weird
I don't think he's the first. I'm not saying I'd agree with that, but like Torts does that all the time. People are like, oh yeah, Torts, raw guy.
Okay,
True.
but like we expected out of Torts.
Okay, that's not fair at all. Then to hold him.
What's that meme where it goes with the HR thing? Where there's one person who says it and the other guy.
I also just like don't trust Keefe in the playoffs.
And I'm not saying you have any reason to, but I don't think it's fair to pin this all on Sheldon Keefe.
No.
Like their best forward, probably their best defenseman, just gone for the season.
Yeah, no, that's my.
And like since that's happened, they've just been they've not been a playoff team.
That's my first reason. Like, if you're missing your best players going into the playoffs, you're going to have a tough time winning any series. But I also just don't like Sheldon Keefe.
He wants that on the record.
He's a weasel.
And Luca, yeah, I mean, yours was pretty straightforward as well. So
Yeah, I guess the only difference in mine is I have the Blues in this first 4 group, and you guys are obviously going to be higher on the Blues. So I'm interested because I think the Sens are. I like the Sens a little better than the Blues.
Why are you low on the Blues?
You and
they've
Blues
been one of the hottest
fans.
teams they've been one of the hottest teams in the league.
Yeah, I just think like their goaltending has still kind of been average.
You're a Binnington hater. You do not like
It's not even
Binnington.
that I'm a hater. It's just that like defensively they've been good. I just don't think he's been like exceptional to the point where I'm gonna bet on him against the Jets or the Golden Knights to win that series. I think the Sens have a much better chance of beating the Leafs than the Blues have of beating the Jets or the Golden Knights.
all right, well, chaotic there. That is a little nuts on the Blues. Come on, man. Binner, of all years, you were in this room.
Yeah,
When he electrified
We were
and
watching
they
it on
watched
a
it together.
12-inch laptop screen.
We were watching on some kid's iPad.
some kid's iPad. He was great, but
He was great, man, and you were still kind of critical of him that game.
I can see tension has left the room since I was last
I'm just saying, like,
for a while. I don't think he's been even though they still won the 4 Nations, he's not an elite goaltender.
He's been
It's just kind of how it is.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have the Blues much higher because when we
they're
get to
gonna
our
be in your next
4,
groups,
they're going to be
like-
right there. And it was very tough with like the Sens or the Blues swapping them back and forth. I just think that the run that they've been on since 4 Nations,
The run they've been on is
Amazing.
outstanding.
like going into the
For
4
sure.
Nations, we didn't really even consider them as like a serious candidate to make the playoffs, and they've been so good.
Red
Robert
hot.
Thomas has been one of the best players in the NHL.
Yep.
The fact that they got Jim Montgomery there, he's turned this franchise around.
Kyrou's been incredible.
Their
too.
youth, those
Box
2
office.
RFAs that they've taken, like
He is box office.
this is a really good team, and I do like the Sens' chances round 1 against the Leafs, but I don't know. The Blues they've been really great.
Also, Holloway, they need to get healthy.
I guess-
He's been incredible.
I just like if you stack those 2 teams against each other, I'd take Ottawa's goaltending with Allmark. I would probably take their forward group as far as the talent goes in that forward group. Like I know Thomas has been great, but outside of Thomas, I'd probably take Chuck, Stützle, Batherson, Cousins, Giroux, Perron as like a solid group over them, and then we don't know the status of Holloway too. So
They're pretty
it's pretty
even.
close. I think
It's not
where I
like
stand
one
is
team's
like
that much better than the other.
I would be more confident in Ottawa to win round 1, if this even makes sense. I would be more confident in the Blues if they now get past round 1 to like seriously go on a deep run.
Yeah.
Whereas
I
Ottawa,
agree.
more
I mean, like
look
it seems
I get what you're
sometimes
saying.
if they get
Yeah.
a little bit of momentum out of
I
nowhere,
get what
you
you're
do.
saying.
if Ottawa
but
gets
I-
past round 1, I'm not really gonna pick them to beat Tampa or Florida.
But I do also get that like the Blues have a really tough first round matchup in either the Jets or Vegas. So like we're talking about like teams making a run, then I get why they'd be in a lower seed, but they're a hell of a team.
The fireworks have flown on the first 4. I thought it was going to be cut and dry, but hey, what do I know?
Dude, man, it goes to show how tight the playoffs are this year.
Absolutely.
It's just-
Absolutely.
Anyone could really do it this year.
All right, Thomas, why don't you start us off with the next 4?
12, I have St. Louis. I've got the Edmonton Oilers at 11, which is I've been very vocal of how I'm going to pick this team to win the cup every single year. I'm completely going to go against my word here, and I'm going to put them in the 11th spot. I got the LA Kings at 10. I think it'll be a good series between those 2 teams. And at 9, I've got the Carolina Hurricanes, which I can't say I feel great about. I want to say one thing.
You're not the one who's going to have to watch them.
I think, yeah, last year your Hurricanes Islanders, you really ate that up. The top 10 or 11 teams, I genuinely think they can all win the Stanley Cup. If that makes things a little bit better, or at least for me to communicate somehow how difficult this was.
Don't talk to people who might yell at you
No,
on the internet.
I'm just saying, like, it's so hard.
They're gonna yell anyways. It's okay.
between these teams.
It's their
I
right
have
to yell
Carolina
at you.
9. I'm very sorry, but that's where I am right now.
Okay, I'm up.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Washington Capitals at 12, Carolina Hurricanes at 11, Toronto Maple Leafs at 10, Edmonton Oilers at 9.
Going with the Ottawa Senators at 12, the Washington Capitals at 11, the Florida Panthers at 10, and the LA Kings at 9.
You guys do know that Washington was like almost won the President's Trophy, right?
Oh, he said the two words.
Okay,
Listen,
He said the two words. Not for me.
I'm not saying that means you're going to win the cup, but like I think they deserve a little bit more respect than like 12 and 11.
They've been freezing cold lately.
Okay.
Freezing cold. I think they're 3-7-0 in their last 10 games.
But it's
What
all been
really
Goalie record watch and
what really surprised me here was, and like, you know, I could see them losing in the first round, but Florida at 10 is like is pretty interesting.
It really mainly is that. We don't know if Matthew Tkachuk's going to play. Carter Verhaeghe has taken a big step back offensively for this team, and they're without Aaron Ekblad as well. I think that they've lost a lot of pieces within the season. They've played a ton of hockey over the past 2 years, and I think the Lightning are going to be favored in that first round series. So even if they do somehow make it through, I just think that the amount of hockey they've played, along with the Four Nations with some of their key guys, might catch up to them a little bit here. And I just don't think they're as well equipped to go back-to-back as they were a year ago. I think they're a less talented team at this point right now going into the playoffs than they were a year ago.
They did make some additions too, though. Like
they got
Marchand. They also added Seth Jones, and like it's also like the playoffs are kind of a thing. It's like things happen in the regular season, and then as soon as the puck drops, it's a different beast.
That took a long time for you to get to your catchphrase.
It's a different beast.
I was going to say, you could have just started. Yeah.
I do get it that like Florida's played a lot of hockey and there are a lot of question marks with the team for sure. Like the health, Tkachuk, we don't know about, you know, losing Ekblad the first 2 games is tough. Like, I don't know, man.
They've just struggled down the stretch. They had the Atlantic Division locked up, and they absolutely blew it. They almost became a wild card team.
But they haven't. Like, we have to see, again, it's a big if because we'll find out in the next few days, but like, we need to see what this team's going to look like in game 1 because they haven't had Tkachuk, who's been an X factor. And, yeah, they just got to, if they're healthy, then it's like, you look at all the talent on that team. I don't know.
Just back to the Capitals there for a second. You've mentioned it. They are cold right now, but you're what? How far do you have them going then if you actually do believe in them more than the other guys?
Well, it's not necessarily like, okay, they're going to play the Habs in the first round. If all things go to plan and the Habs get in, which looks likely.
Yeah.
I expect them to be heavy favorites in that series. Montreal's a very inexperienced team. I think if you go top to bottom on the roster, Washington just outmatches them. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, the last 10 games or so, they haven't looked great. There's been a lot of distractions with this OB record. But the fact of the matter is they have been so dominant all season long. If they get Logan Thompson back, even without him, Charlie Lindgren's been very good. They have so much scoring. There's so much more than just Alex Ovechkin on this team this year. And I really do think that, like, this is a team that can go on a run. You win the first round against Montreal, which, like I said, you should be heavy favorites in. Then you've got either Carolina or the Devils waiting for you, who neither of us are very high on by the sounds of it. We all just had Carolina in our...
I didn't.
Or me and Jesse just had Carolina in our next set. And it's like, you have a clear pathway, whereas every other team, it just feels like there's such a dogfight to get there. We talked about Florida. Yeah, they're a great team. You got to go through Tampa. Then you got either Ottawa or the Leafs waiting for you. Washington feels like they've done enough to at least earn my respect. And I'm not saying I have them as like, a top team, but I just think that, where you guys have is a little low.
It's fair.
I think all the teams are like pretty even.
No, I agree with that too.
But man, also, like, I think I could be wrong, but like, I think Montreal is going to give Washington a very good go that series.
I hope so.
Like I could see that series going 7 games. Like Montreal's been playing really well down the stretch, and there is something to be said about like the kind of hockey that you're playing. Washington hasn't really had as much to play for. They've obviously been so focused on the record, which is amazing, of course. But like Montreal's heads have been in it. Like they've been playing playoff hockey for a long time. Like they've been rolling, and they're inexperienced. But like, I don't know, man. Montreal's got some dogs. Also, I brought the Leafs up and the Oilers.
Speaking of inexperience, by the way, just when it comes to the Capitals, we do have a resident Capitals fan on our team, in Michael Antonozzi. And when we were making our hour-and-a-half journey back from Georgetown, we filmed another U14 video. He mentioned the inexperience. That was what he was most concerned about with the rest of the players on the team who hadn't really kind of had like a deep run. And I was like, hey, you made the playoffs last year. And then, yes, that was kind of joking. There wasn't much of a series to be counted, not to mention a couple of those guys weren't even there for that. So
yeah, like Washington really doesn't have a lot of like that much playoff experience on their team.
That's fair. They're the older team. Their leadership group still has that experience.
You know what?
So
I don't care what they say, Thomas. The Habs will lose.
I hope they don't. Like, I'm cheering for the Habs. I'm just trying to say that, like, Washington they're first in the East for a reason. They've had a great season, and I just feel like they deserve a little bit more respect. But
That's fair.
I
That's
agree with you guys because I was just saying, I think the top 10 or 11, like, these teams can all win the cup, and it's so hard, and it's tough to argue spots here and there because it's so tight and there's so much parity in the NHL.
Okay, well, why don't we move on to the next 4 teams? Jesse, you want to start us off with these ones?
Sure. The LA Kings, St. Louis Blues, Dallas Stars, Florida Panthers.
Luca.
The Edmonton Oilers at 8, the Carolina Hurricanes at 7, Vegas Golden Knights at 6, and the Leafs at 5.
I've got the Leafs at 8. I've got the Washington Capitals at 7, the Florida Panthers at 6, and the Tampa Bay Lightning at 5.
Okay.
So you guys are down on the Leafs.
Well, you're obviously up on the Leafs.
More than you guys.
Yeah,
for sure.
I got a good
having the Leafs over the Golden Knights.
I've got a good
That's a hot
like
take.
7 years of pretty clear memory
You got some data
fair.
points to go off of?
to go off of and be like,
Every year's a new year.
it is, but
This year especially, I
listen,
think.
they look good this year. Do they look different in years past? Yeah, they have good goaltending. They seem to have more grit. They're actually getting scoring, I feel like, a little bit more balanced throughout their line. Like, Austin Matthews only scored 31 goals this year.
And Matthew Nyes has been incredible.
He has.
Like, he's going to be their best
It
player.
feels
in the
like that's
playoffs.
like a playoff guy, but I just can't do it. Until they prove me otherwise, I'm not going to sit here and have any confidence in this team because I'll just feel like a fool when they ultimately go out and they lose in the first round. And I know they've had tough
get that.
matchups, but I'm just at the point where, like, I am completely done until they actually show me otherwise.
I
And
agree.
I think that's fair.
I think Nyes is going to be like, if they're going to make a run, he's the difference. Like, he's insane. That's the kind of guy you want on your team in the playoffs. But also, one stat with the Leafs, they're giving up the 25th most shots against per game, which I think is kind of concerning.
I think that this team is different in a lot of respects. One of them is that where, like, they're kind of getting a little more caved in off or defensively than normal, and, like, their decor is a bit of a problem. I think their goaltending has been the best it's been maybe in this iteration of the Leafs. But I also think that, like, their best players are playing, I think, probably their best hockey that they've played in a long time. Like, Mitch Marner is the best version of himself right now. You mentioned Matthews. The load is not solely on him. The balance that they have on offense, I think, is going to be very welcomed. And Craig Berube as a head coach, like, his track record as a Stanley Cup winner kind of speaks for itself. He was brought in to make this team feel different in the playoffs. I get the regular season has kind of been what it is for this team. But I look at this team and, like, I will buy into their talent every day of the week as far as being one of the most talented teams in the world because they have 3 of the top 20 players in the NHL on their roster up front.
So, similar to what Thomas was saying, you know, it's pretty hard to want to go out on a limb and end up looking foolish on behalf
For sure.
of the Leafs. I get that.
100%.
But in a point that Luca made that I'm interested to hear from you two here, there is that major difference from all of the other years. They do have a different coach. And as you were mentioning, the person that you didn't trust was the one who was coaching them last. So does that not change something for you guys?
I just like every year I'm like, yeah, the Leafs have the talent to do it. And sure, like Berube, I like Berube. I think having a coach like that will be helpful, obviously, in the playoffs. But it also just kind of goes back to what Pac said. It's like until they kind of show differently, like it's hard to fully trust them. We've seen this core, like as well as this core is playing this year, they've played really well in past years. Matthews is actually having a way down year compared to last year.
He's been hurt.
He's been hurt. And he could still be hurt going into the playoffs, and that could be something to factor in. But like we still haven't seen these guys get it done in the playoffs when they've been playing their best hockey. And yeah, every year it's like it's a switch, right? Like the Leafs could change. What I'm just curious about is why you have the Leafs over the Golden Knights, because the Golden Knights have been incredible, have a track record, also have some of the best players in the league. They've been there. They are pretty sure the 3rd best team in the league right now. So I'm kind of just curious to hear why the Leafs should be over them.
I'm just betting on the talent. Like I think the combination of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Nyes as a forward group, I really like. I think those top 2 lines are gonna like cause a ton of havoc. For the first time, they're going up against not a Lightning or a Bruins in the 2-3. Like they outright won the Atlantic. Like that is really impressive to me as far as they were in that race the entire year. They won the division for the first time in a long time. They get the easier matchup finally against an Ottawa Senators team that, like, again, they're solid, but they get the easier of the two matchups that you could have drawn, because if they played Tampa, I would probably feel a lot worse about their chances to make a deep run. But the confidence maybe in a quick series against Ottawa, get that first round kind of curse off your back again and make it past the first round for the second time in 3 years. Maybe your Stars kind of have a really good series and you carry that momentum. That's kind of where I'm at. Whereas Vegas, they're really good, but I just think the game breakers the Leafs have can ultimately be what drives them to a cup.
But like the game breakers that
They have Jack
Vegas
Eichel
has,
and Mark Stone.
like their game breakers have actually taken them to a
I
Stanley
get
Cup.
it.
That's my
also,
thing too. It
every
seems
year is
like
different. Like I can't.
This year is different, Leafs fans.
I'm just saying though, like every year is different. I can't just take past experiences of a team in a vacuum and be like, okay, the Vegas Golden Knights won a Stanley Cup, so like they're automatically going to be better than the Leafs this year.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I mean, we'll see what happens in the end. Yeah, so
I could definitely look foolish for sure. I could.
We also didn't even really talk about what's probably the most important difference for the Leafs this year, and that's their goaltending. Like, as a Leafs fan, I would feel better than I have in a long time with Stolarz in net. No,
are you on?
Wait, I was gonna say now. I'm just a little confused.
Are you like on Luca's side,
and
or?
another thing?
No.
Leafs fans, you should be happy.
Man,
actually. The goaltending has been greater than it's ever.
On each side, but like if we're actually talking about like key differences that are going to take the Leafs like further,
yes.
I think like it's not even about the star players. It's like their goaltender is going to be the most important guy for them. And Stolarz has been
the
really
man
good this year.
who knew the most goal horns.
Yeah,
You guys don't remember that?
Yeah.
He knew all of them.
He's not going to be here.
great,
He
man.
thought that was a bad thing. It wasn't.
He's big. He's confident. He was with Florida when they won a cup. Like even though he wasn't the main goalie, but like still, I think that's valuable experience. Yeah, I don't know. I feel good about that.
So you're now back in on the Leafs.
He's back
No.
in.
Well, I mean-
the way that he said it before, it
sorry.
actually wasn't sarcasm. Leafs fan, it is the year.
Yeah.
I just feel like at this point with all this Leafs talk and you even mentioned the coaching difference, it just seems like it's all hypotheticals when we're talking about
Oh, this whole
whole thing is
conversation.
I guess, but it's just like
The only thing not hypothetical is there is a rope on your hat.
there is.
He's got a rope.
And speaking of ropes and cowboying, I just want to say a nice quote that I think sums up the Leafs and your coaching. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. I don't care who's behind that bench until I see it. I'm not confident in this team.
Did you say your team, by the way, to me? Not my team.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
We might need to.
How dare you?
I'm not on his side though, man. I'm just saying it how it is. Like the Leafs probably have a better chance this year of going further because they have Stolarz.
All right, well,
big reason.
let's move on to the next section. And it's funny, we might have just gone right past this one because it happens each and every year. In fact, the fans of this team, they were dreading this day. They might as well, there's St. Totteringham's Day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Every time that Arsenal finishes ahead of Tottenham. They should do the same thing for the Los Angeles Kings when they get locked in to play the Edmonton Oilers. There's just a time of year that just happens. But
It's the first year I'm nervous about it if I'd be an Oilers
if you're
fan.
an Oilers fan, what do you guys think is going to happen there?
I think the Kings win it.
I feel like this is the year where Oilers are a little similar to Florida in the sense that they've just played a lot of hockey and it's so hard to get back after going on a long run.
The Ekholm injury is tough.
Yeah, the injuries.
The
are
signings that they've
brutal.
brought in, we talked about on the last
Yeah.
episode, they just haven't worked out. It almost just feels like this lost season where even now, like McDavid and Draisaitl have had some injuries, and outside of them, the roster doesn't feel all that strong. I feel kind of sorry for how things have gone for the Oilers because going into this year, I was like, they've had a taste of the playoffs. They got so close. This is the year they got to go all out. They got to get back. It just feels like they haven't exactly been all that.
Yeah, but man, they also made some poor decisions. Like they let Holloway and Broberg walk. They bring in Skinner and Arvidsson, bank on them. They haven't been great. Holloway and Broberg have been incredible for the Blues. Like they need to go back to the drawing board this offseason and retool because the moves that they made last offseason just have not panned out. But in the same breath, like it's also the Oilers, and like they could go on a run. Like, it's
LA's been
not out of the
really
question.
strong, and also
Been
the
one of
fact
the
that
best
they've
teams.
got the home ice advantage. They're 31-5-4 at home this year.
Yeah.
31. He's
Crazy.
He's not lying. 31.
Yeah, they've been good.
Their home records
They've
have been
been
incredible.
good. Byfield's been incredible for them lately. He's point per game player in his last 30 now. Like that, the offense is finally there for LA, which like I feel like it just hasn't been in years past.
And I
There's
think
layers to their offense. this year,
Kopitar
too.
is just continues to be the most underrated player
Box
in the NHL.
office,
Like,
man.
no one talks
Box
about him. He's good every
Complete
year.
box office.
They're so deep at center. Kemper's been good. Like everything just feels like
Kemper's
it's
good. Kemper's
But
been
then-
great.
Yeah, trending in
Great.
LA's direction.
But then at the same time,
Whoa,
it's just
except
like,
for Except for that one goal.
Yeah.
That
Except
we'll
for
talk
that one
about
goal.
later.
We'll talk about
that later.
Oh, that guy.
That was about 186 miles an hour. But anyways, next. You guys ready for the next set?
Yeah.
All right. Thomas, you want to start us off?
4, I got the Vegas Golden Knights. 3, I got the Dallas Stars. 2, the Winnipeg Jets. And 1, the Colorado Avalanche. So my top 4 teams are all from the West. Sounds crazy, but just my
It's the
gut.
way the season's been this year.
Jesse, you're 4.
Number 4, I got the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 3, I got the Vegas Golden Knights. Number 2, I have the Colorado Avalanche. Number 1, I have the Winnipeg Jets.
And
Let's go!
Luca. To complete the most obvious sets here.
I've got the Dallas Stars at 4, the Lightning at 3, the Jets at 2, and the Avs at 1.
Well, you guys have been duking it out all show already. Might as well do it again.
Yeah.
Avs, Jets.
Man, you could easily
You're
make
happy, yeah.
you
Like, I
could
don't think
easily
there's
make
a
an
duking
argument.
out of it. It's just they're
Someone
both
hit
very
someone
good.
with a chair.
If I wasn't saying the Jets at number 1,
Yeah,
I'd be
if
saying the
I think if
Avalanche.
we weren't fans of our teams, we'd probably have the opposite, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Is this like a weird not trying to jinx your team thing while you saying this, or is this belief? Yes.
No, man.
okay.
If you
If I wasn't trying to jinx my team, I'd have them at 2.
Okay.
at the 1-16 format, I said if the Jets didn't win, I had the Avalanche going all the way.
Okay.
But one thing I will say that I differ from you guys, I think the most notable thing is
This guy trying to tell someone to steal base, or
is the Stars. The Stars.
Where do you have them at?
I have them at 6.
Just a little. I get it's like a tough draw in the first round, but I don't know. They're still the Stars.
I think, like you talk about, I think Colorado is going to beat Dallas in that series, and even if they make it out of that series, they're gonna have to likely go up against the Jets. The Jets smacked the Stars 2 games in a row, outscored them. I mean, I know it's the regular season and it's different than the playoffs, and I know there's that argument, but like 2 games in a row, we demolished them, outscored them 8-1 in 2 games. I think Dallas also has lost to Colorado a few times.
I think they've been in tough without
Heiskanen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like that's the biggest difference. It sounds like he could be ready for the start of the playoffs, which is massive for them. Like, that's game changing. So
They need him.
They need
if
him.
they don't have him, I don't think they're making a run.
and Rantanen's one of the best playoff performers we've seen, like, of our generation. So I know the marriage hasn't quite been as expected so far as the production goes, but like, he's where he wants to be. The playoffs are a season that he thrives in and that he has for the Avs for a long, long time. And I think whoever gets out of that, like, it's tough because those 3 teams, the Jets, the Stars, the Avs, like, in any year, those could be the 3 best teams in the NHL. And like, 2 of them are going to be eliminated by the conference final.
Makes me sick.
Just tough. Like, it sucks that we won't get
Yeah.
2 of those teams in the conference final in the West, but that's just how the playoff format works.
Yeah, my top 3 teams on my list will it's crazy. All from the same division.
Which is ironic, like, because we have them as the 3 best that we can think can win the cup, but that's just how good they are.
yeah.
So we all have the Lightning as our highest team in the East.
Yeah, I have them at 5 though, which is a little lower than you guys. I think we'll
I have 'em
buy
at
a
3.
spot.
I just have them
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're right there. They're the best team in the East, I think we all think, which makes sense
Yeah.
with how they've been playing. Vasilevsky's been unbelievable, especially down the stretch, and like, just the depth they have. Every piece that they brought in has just worked so well.
Jake Gensel, gamer.
hypothetically speaking of what's kind of already set, which series do you think is going to be the best? Round 1.
I think it's Avs Stars.
Yeah, it's
Stars.
hard,
I think
not,
it has
hard
to
not
be.
to go there.
Lightning Panthers is going to be good too.
I think Leaf Sens will be fun as hell too.
Yeah.
Like, Battle
Look
of
at that,
Ontario.
3 different answers. Okay.
Low key,
High key.
I think Caps Canadians is going to be like a sneaky series.
It's a series that's
Yeah.
like a throwback.
If they
Oh,
get
yeah,
in,
Exactly.
All
Gotta
this
win
is
tonight.
just the best. This is the best time of year. It's, all the first round is like insane.
Truly,
You want to
like-
watch every single game, and it's just like a rotation of like, oh my god. So
the first round of playoffs in the NHL to me is the best
Yeah.
like event in any sport calendar
it's-
throughout the year. It's amazing.
It's not even close. Well, that brings us to an old favorite here. But before we get to the old favorite, I must say, if you're enjoying what you're watching, why don't you subscribe? Why don't you like the video? Both of those things help, and you're a legend if you do it. So thank you. But
You're just a legend.
thank you. Goal of the week. I took a look when I was away. I saw these guys don't really seem to care about this goal of the week anymore.
The one
What's
guy who
going
does
on?
it gets ripped on every time he does it.
Who's that? Yo,
and then
maybe
you're usually the one who asks me to do it. So when you're not here, it's like, Z's not here. No one's gonna ask me to do goal of the week.
You gotta do goal.
It's kind of like when the substitute teacher's around and you just don't.
You just
behave.
don't do it. Yeah. Well, who was the substitute teacher this time?
I guess Luca.
Luca. They weren't following you.
Well,
the
our
kids
last,
trampling
our
you?
last episode was like an hour long. We
This
didn't have
might
time
be
to
an
go
hour
over the week.
long,
That's
too.
true.
Last episode that we were good. Like we talked about every single team.
No, I know.
But
that's
you
right.
didn't
We
talk about the goal of the
We didn't
week.
have time for goal of the week
didn't have
because
time
we
for
had to
goal
get
of the
through
week.
so much.
Kind of though. Like it was just off the heels of Ovi scoring. Like that was.
Well,
the,
listen, I understand
facto
Glad you brought
goal
that
of the
up
week.
because
Does that belong in this
my
week?
goal of the week.
No, that happened on a
That's so
Saturday.
long ago.
That happened on a Saturday.
That's over 2 weeks ago.
It's a week yesterday.
That's
Sunday?
not
Was it Sunday?
No.
Oh, it was Sunday.
We've
So I'm
done
bringing-
a podcast since he scored that goal.
Yeah.
And we didn't do goal of the week.
Yeah,
He
but
deserves
that's
the
why I
justice.
don't think it should count.
So
we
my
gave
goal
him
of
the
week-
crown
listen,
last
listen,
week.
listen.
We can't give him
It's
goal.
currently
of the week.
Monday morning, which means everything I have to look at is in the last week. So Sunday to the Sunday before. That's
don't think-
why I have brought
I think that's
Ovi's
cheating.
goal. It's
think it's
you could
Monday
argue
to
it's the
Monday.
most accomplished single goal in NHL history.
I don't think you'd even have to really argue that. It literally is.
It literally
the
is.
Why don't we give
most
it
goals, but
well, we gave him the
Honorable
crown.
mention.
We gave him the crown.
We gave him the crown.
We gave
last
him
week.
the crown.
Gave him the crown. That's
that's better
That's
than.
even bigger honor, man.
Now that I think of
Okay,
it, though,
well, I
goal of
brought-
the week's pretty big honor.
Listen, I brought one other goal, and it's not even an NHL goal.
Gavin McKenna.
Yeah, that's what I
We're gonna make an exception this week.
The other
This
goal
is
I
gonna
brought
be
is
an NHL in
non-NHL.
2 years.
We have done non-NHL goals on goal of the week. We had
We
a
PWHL goal?
PWHL goal.
Yep.
Medicine Hat Tigers. Sick jersey, by the way.
Unreal.
Okay, here we go. Oh,
My goodness.
okay.
Yeah.
That is a move I would do on my 8-year-old cousin when playing him in like road hockey in the basement.
And still not be able to do it.
No,
And you're very good.
I could pull that off against an 8-year-old.
Okay,
But like,
man.
it just looks like
There's
he's
a lot
like
of coordination in there that doesn't
he's
have much to do with the defender.
absolutely
Why are you
toying with these
pumped-
guys.
Why are you playing the road hockey? You got to do that on ice.
Yeah.
I don't think he
Where's that? in our
Doing it with your
video
feet
Well,
doesn't look
I
as
just
cool.
don't play against 8-year-olds.
How many rope-
10-year-olds, 12-years, 14-years, but
How many rope hats got thrown on the ice when you did that in your hypothetical
lot.
scenario?
in the basement.
crowd goes wild.
Do you guys use your hat when you're playing road hockey too?
Oh, yeah,
Sometimes
all
as
the
a
time.
glove.
Yeah, that was more
What-
like floor hockey.
Floor
Yeah,
hockey.
well,
Yeah.
Well, you think would a rope
And
hat be better
hockey.
for that? Better grip at the backside.
Dude, we should actually
Depends on
do a
where you
video
grip your
on
hat.
that. Actually, like just like you and Nat with your hat out, like so classic.
Class. It's class.
So you guys
This is a
like
good goal.
like the goal?
We really
of the
like
week?
it.
Yeah, it's
Where's the
cool,
other
man.
one? Oh, you just put Ovi?
Yeah,
That's it? Just those two?
Why are you guys hating on the Ovi?
Okay, I got another one for you.
We didn't talk about it enough last week.
All right, so here we go. We got another one for that.
Oh, how original! Zach McEwen.
Okay.
Boom.
Bang! Oh, what a shot from McEwen.
We're technically crowning our best goal of the regular season.
Oh, yeah, we
This is-
kinda
this is
are.
a power rankings list, so we had to bring back one of the true powerhouses.
on a likely Vezina nominee.
Can we
Darcy
actually talk
Denver?
about this for a second? Because we have made so many jokes about this goal that I actually forget
110
the
miles an
original
hour.
argument. Who liked the goal and who thought it was
I'm sorry,
like he
someone
should have
does.
saved
Sorry,
it?
someone
didn't
doesn't like
No,
it.
no, no.
Who doesn't?
You
like
guys, the
it?
three of you guys were so adamant that this was like the hardest shot ever. I was like, guys, like, I don't think the shot was that hard. Darcy Kemper definitely should have saved that. No one was screening him. It wasn't that nice of a goal.
did
Guys, the
someone
people
DM
And you
don't.
guys
you
were-
on
and-
Twitter
and no,
or
and you got no. People were calling me out, like backing me.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
That's the least important part of this.
Yeah, they don't know what
But-
they're talking about.
But
Guys, like, there's a 106 mile per hour shot. I was like, I think it was like maybe
actually,
90 miles per
no,
hour.
I think it was 116.
I heard it was
136.
140.
It was
Yeah.
92.
156.
It was 92.
I think it was
Hardest shot ever
166.
I
recorded
think it hit 200.
in human history.
186 at least. But the people don't lie. This thing's got 4,000 views.
The goal?
Yeah.
I think.
What's the captain? Zach McEwen blasts one home from the blue line?
Rifles.
With
No,
a,
see,
with
that's-
a wicked shot.
That's why it got
be
less
underselling
views
it.
because rifles isn't accurate. Like you got to have hammers home or
Okay.
like blows
Exact-
the
it
goalie
blows
away.
past.
I actually
Snipes.
think that he made a
Yeah.
hole in the net.
How about this? Rips the rope hat.
Yeah.
Just right through it.
Hey, there's rope on the netting, you know.
Went right through the rope pad.
Right. Send the boys right back to Jersey
Looks over
Mike's.
the glove. What happened to my hat?
What happened?
If I had to
Let's
vote
go
for
get
goal of the
subs.
week, it's got to be or goal of the week all time. Zach McEwen's got my vote.
92 mile per hour.
Okay, well, we take ourselves very seriously here. That's why that happened. So the goal of the year, congratulations, a not NHL goal. Zach,
You know what? The whole goal of the week segment
or
had good intentions.
the record-breaking
It's a
goal.
scam.
And it just turned into a complete mockery
it's a
of some of
scam.
the goals that were scored this year.
It's a gaffle.
Oh, well, that is our show.
Wait, are we talking about Calvin
Nope.
DeHaan?
No, I was kidding. I'm sorry, what?
Are we talking about Calvin DeHaan?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I guess I teased
I
that.
think
that deserves
He
a crown.
Yeah.
Deserves a crown.
That'd be kind of nuts. Calvin DeHaan.
Can we just give it to him?
Speaking up for yourself, from everything I've heard from people who are fans of the Avs, as well as people who just follow the team pretty closely, pretty good guy. Not someone who would just go out on a limb and do all this.
Pretty good player, too.
Pretty good player, too, who was on a pretty good team just to get traded to a team that was very listless. Just get benched for how many games was it? He played 4?
He played 3 games total.
What? That's nuts. Like,
The Rangers
why
are
even
Rangers
bother?
are an absolute mess.
In a contract year, which is like you're costing the guy money. So this whole saga starts out with a quote here, where this was not from Calvin DeHaan's Twitter. He was just walking through, where he effectively said, "How about the way I've been treated here? It's
Effin.
effing.
It's effed up.
It's effed up." Yeah, I don't know, effing. That didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Luca led me astray on that one. But anyways, and then he said he was going to be very transparent about it when he could speak. And then I was like, ooh, what does this mean? Where's this going? He later on, he issued his own tweet, right?
Yeah.
Did he just not get a chance to speak to the
No,
press?
well, he...
So I'll read the whole quote.
Yeah.
He said on his own accounts here, I was hoping that I would have been able to express in a scrum setting versus a quote as I was going onto the ice and having it on the internet 30 seconds later. I said what I said because I'm frustrated, and any competitor who says that they would be happy in this position would be lying to you. So we've been asking for a lot of transparency from hockey players, you know, speak up, give your actual thoughts, your opinions. The man stuck up for himself. It's tough, a lot of the times people just go with the team. They go, oh man, you're not a team player if you don't. But it's like,
Yeah.
he got screwed. This guy got screwed. It's a weird thing to crown, but Luca,
Crown him.
there's a crown. He stuck up for himself there. And Rangers, handle your business. Best team in New York's coming back next year. New York State.
They still were the best team.
The Buffalo Sabres next year, I said next year. I said
It's
next
the
year.
Devils.
Oh yeah, I guess.
The Devils are in New York State.
Are they?
No.
Oh. No. I don't know.
Tough one to end on.
It is confusing. It's confusing.
So who, guys? Come on, New
Because they're
Jersey.
so
Kinda
close. They're so
confusing to
close.
me.
We're close to Ottawa. Let's actually, so that doesn't make any
but like-
sense.
Yeah, they're also in Ontario.
Montreal. I meant Montreal.
Nice.
I don't know my geography, clearly.
You
not either,
just no
clearly.
one has looked
Just-
good at the
just-
end of the show. Just cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it.